welcome to Revelations of a Delusional Knitter. This is episode 94. It is June 6th, 2014, and I am Angela, your host. On to updates and housekeeping. Welcome if you are new. If you are returning, I thank you as always. And either way, I hope you enjoy the show and continue to watch. If you are watching on iTunes, if you would leave a star rating and or review, I would appreciate it. And if you are on Ravelry, come and join the Ravelry group, Revelations of a Delusional Knitter. Week in review. So last week, sorry, I just ate a granola bar. I still have pieces of it in my mouth apparently. Last week, we took my mom out for her birthday, and we went to see Godzilla, which was not her choice of movies, but there wasn't a whole lot playing. It's too bad Maleficent hadn't started yet, because that would have been a good one. My husband and I enjoyed Godzilla. My mom and her friend did not. So, oh well. But we had fun and we went out to dinner and it was good. I also, maybe I'll insert a picture when I get to Revelations, but I had told her the week before I was knitting on the baby surprise jacket for her friend's son. And I finished knitting it in like March or something silly. And I seamed up one sleeve and I put the buttons on, and then I never seamed up the other sleeve. So the week before, we had seen her on the weekend, and I told her, oh, next week when we go out for your birthday, I'll bring the sweater so you can give it to her. I totally forgot about it. Like, until 10 minutes before we were supposed to leave, and I was in here seaming it, and seamed it, like, completely, really poorly, so I ripped it out. I just seamed up, like, an inch, and then brought it with me, and I finished seaming it at dinner. Yeah. What else? Last week, I have to make a phone call when I'm done with this. We had problems in the basement with water and stuff, and we got estimates and everything. Insurance won't cover it. It's a long story. You've heard it before if you've watched. So we applied for a loan through the bank, because it's like $15,000. And part of the loan process is an appraisal. So last week, the man came for the appraisal. He was only here for like 10 minutes. Just did like a quick drawing of the floor plan and took photos. And then this week, he left a message that he had a problem with the pictures and he has to come back. Now, on the normal scale of things, this is not a huge deal. But that's how every single issue in this house goes. If you've watched the podcast for a while, I'm sure you remember the furnace replacement rebate debacle of 2013. It's just like, why is everything so flippin' difficult with this place? Because it's not a big deal for him to come back, but now we had, like, cleaned the house because we knew he was going to take pictures. So now, like, there's dishes in the sink, there's laundry in my bathroom. Like, I will have to run around for, like, an hour and pick everything up and clean the whole house again. It's clean for us to live in it, but it's not picture clean. So, yeah, I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. You had one thing to do, guy. Come and take photos and do an appraisal, and somehow you messed up half of that. I don't know. Ugh. Weather. Again, we've still been having a really crappy trend of weather. That was a mouthful. Today is somewhat nice. Yesterday it was a steady rain all day. I should have recorded yesterday because the whole day was just kind of a waste. But today, it's nice, it's not raining, but it's like sunny and then cloudy and then sunny and then cloudy, and it's very breezy, so I don't know. This summer's just gonna be terrible, I'm sure. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Blip has given me the boot, which I'm not surprised about. I'm actually surprised it didn't happen sooner because they've been booting a lot of knitting podcasts for the last year or so. Maybe they've been booting a whole bunch, but I only watched knitting once, so I don't know who else they've booted, but they gave me the boot. So I think what I'm going to do is YouTube, because I do have the website on WordPress, but if I upload videos, I'm going to run out of space eventually. And it's just going to be a pain in the butt, because I'm going to have to delete old ones, make room for new ones, and all this stuff. So I think I'm going to try YouTube and see how it works. See if it works with iTunes and everything else. The feed for the podcast is through the website, so it should not affect the feed for iTunes, but you never know. I don't know if the format's going to be right or whatever. I didn't like YouTube in the past because it does something weird to the video, and it kind of like blows out the contrast. I'm pale enough already. I do not need excessive contrast. Like, I didn't even have facial features. Like, I didn't have a nose. I just had nostrils. However, and I don't know if this is going to make any difference, but I do know that the software I use to edit the podcast does have a YouTube setting. I'm going to try that with this video, see if that helps. Again, I don't know. So that happened. So the videos after July 7th or something will no longer be on Blip. It'll be completely gone from Blip. Podcasting schedule. When I started this job, I had mentioned I'm going to think about the schedule because now I'm on a 4-on, 2-off schedule for work, and it's kind of weird. So I think what I'm going to do, I skipped recording last week, and it was nice because now I have a ton of progress on my projects to show you. You know, the episode length is only 20 to 30 minutes. That doesn't take into account prepping for it, editing the video, rendering the video, uploading the video. I mean, it takes a couple hours to do all of that. So if that's one day of one of my days off during the week, then I actually don't even want to like knit or craft or do anything. I'm doing other things for the rest of that day, so I kind of lose a day. Now, because it's a 4-on, 2-off schedule, it won't even be like 2 weeks between episodes. It'll be more like 10 to 12 days. So, you know, I understand that's close to 2 weeks, but whatever. So I'm going to try that and see how that works out, because last week it worked out really well and I actually got a lot of progress done on some of my projects. So I will also, in addition to, you know, having to do less uploading and space issues if I have to use WordPress and things like that, I'll actually have more things to show you. So I think that will work well. On to revelations. So I mentioned the baby surprise jacket I finished, so I will insert a picture here. And I like that one a lot. I like the yarn, I like the colors, and I always like doing the baby surprise jacket. Anytime somebody asks me for a baby sweater, sometimes if it's a girl, I'll do something different because there's lots of nice lacy things that you can do for girls, but I really, really like the baby surprise jacket. Spring seasonal Sock Syndrome knit-along socks, the ones I'm doing, which doesn't really matter because I'm hosting the knit-along, so I'm not eligible for prizes, but I am doing 2 Socks in One by Kate Atherley. And I had a little bit of an issue, or a big issue, but it had nothing to do with the pattern, it was all me. And I posted on my blog last week that it's a top-down sock. For the gusset, it said to do the heel flap round like 10 times. That gives you 10 slip stitches. Then it told me to pick up 15. And I'm like, is this an error in the pattern or what? Then I looked up other top-down socks, and they were pretty much a 1-for-1 ratio for picking up slip stitches. Then I looked up more of Kate Atherley's patterns, and all of hers looked like that. It had you make like 10 slip stitches but pick up 15 for the size that I'm doing. And I was like, okay, that's a little odd. So what I ended up doing was ripping back, making the heel flap longer so that I could pick up more stitches. Then I had wrapped the yarns around each other and the 2 socks were attached below the heel flap. I tried dropping down stitches, but the way the yarns were, I'll show you with these two, the way the yarns were with each other is that dropping down stitches would not correct this problem at all. They were like that. So even if I dropped down on either side, the yarns were still twined around each other like this. So that did not solve that problem. So I ripped back again, past the heel flap back onto the leg. While I was doing that, Kate Atherley contacted me because of my blog post and asked me if I needed help. So I had found on her blog, which I'm going to put links into the show notes for this episode because it's an awesome technique, what she does is when she picks up down the heel flap, she then goes down a row or 2 below, picking up stitches on the leg portion. And that gives you the additional stitches that she's talking about, but it also closes the gap where you usually get a hole between the heel flap and the leg. And it's like seamless. It looks fantastic. And it's difficult for me to show you right now because I still have the 2 socks on the needle. But when they're done, I'll make a point to show you that section where the heel flap and the round that you leave sitting while you work the heel flap, that there's no hole at all. It's awesome. It's really cool. So I'll link to that. And that was really cool that she contacted me, because I was like, what is going on? And there's some other of her patterns that I want to do. Excuse me. I also have her book, which I've reviewed in the past, Beyond Knit and Purl, from Cooperative Press, where she's got sections on different things like sweaters, socks, etc. So she's got a section on socks, and there's a pattern in there. So I'm going to do more of her patterns. I also think, originally when I started this pattern, I don't want to say I didn't like it. I just want to say it's a very different technique, and it was a little tedious. Now that I've been knitting on it and had to like rip back 5 times, I'm an expert. So I think I'm actually going to do this again. Maybe even right after I finish these socks. So these are the 2 socks in one, and I'm magic looping, so I get the needle cable there in the way, but as you can see, the sock is inside out because the other one's inside of it, but I'm past the heel flap and turn and gusset, and I finished the gusset decreases, and now I'm onto the foot. And I really, really like it. It's really cool. And it should be interesting when I get to the toe decreases. So that's it for Revelations. And hopefully maybe you'll see finished socks next time I record, because I'm almost done. Lots of straight knitting until I get to the toes. For string theory, spinning, I have not touched the Traveler at all. I have been spinning on spindles a lot. So I had my 2 Turkish spindles that I was spinning that rainbow bat on, and last time you saw it I was on the purple. I blew past the blue and I'm onto the green. So that's on this one, and as you can see the cop is winding very nicely now. So for this one, I have this green bit left, and then I have one more green bit, and a yellow green, and then a yellow, and then that will be done. To ply with that, I'm plying up some, I'm pretty sure this is BFL now. It was just sample fiber that came with my e-spinner, so it wasn't labeled or anything, and at first I wasn't sure if it was merino or BFL. It's BFL. Like, the steeple length is really long, it's very sticky, not in a bad way, in a BFL kind of way, and spins very nicely. But so I'm also spinning up this to ply the rainbow bat with, because the rainbow bat was only 1.6 ounces. I guess I'm going to just spin this until this cop looks the same size as the other cop, because I can weigh it, but I'm afraid weighing it's not going to tell me that I have similar yardage on both cops, because that's just not how this works, number one. But number two, now that I really am like positive it's BFL, I think it's going to weigh a lot more than the merino. Anyway, I mean, we're talking in terms of ounces, negligible, but not negligible in terms of plying them together. So I don't know, I'm just going to spin it. It was 2.6 ounces I had of the sample fiber, and the bat was 1.6, so obviously I don't need to spin up all the sample fiber, but I'm not sure how much I have to spin to match up with the other one. We're just going to have to see how this goes. Into the World. I got my Into the World shipment, so if you have not gotten yours yet, which you should have, because I got mine, like, I don't even remember, but you should have yours by now. And it's gorgeous. It's not my typical colors, but I love what they did with it. It's called Tickled Pink, and it's Polworth, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Actually, I shouldn't say it's not my typical colors. This is. The front peachy pink colors, not really, but altogether I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love what she did, because I will show you the inspiration image, and the ratio of that light pink in the image is much, much more than what they put in there. But I love that, because I love the gray and the purple and all that stuff are definitely my colors. This was the inspiration image. And you can totally see that that really matches up with that image. But I like the ratio of colors that she did. So that's that. Then I am now on a self-imposed hold for purchasing fiber, because I could like insulate my house with what I have right now, and it's getting ridiculous. And I think what happened is I was unemployed for 6 months. Now that I'm working again and have been there for a while and things are going well, I'm going like cuckoo bananas buying stuff again, because I didn't buy anything when I was unemployed. So I was enjoying this bat so much on the spindle. Lisa at Fiber Nymph Dye Works does some bats now. She calls them fluffy bumps of joy, which is just funny. And she had some gorgeous ones recently. They're also smaller, like the bat I'm spinning on the spindle. They're 1 something ounces. So this one is, the colorway is Helen. It's 1.8 ounces, and it's Falkland, Polworth, Mixed BFL, Bamboo, and BFL. And it's gorgeous. I hope there's not a lot of glare from the lights. So that's that one. So it's like a purple and gray and black, and totally my colors. And the other one is Ida, and it's 1.5 ounces, and it's BFL, Mixed BFL, and Firestar. There's a lot of Firestar in there. It's very sparkly. And that's it's very similar in color to the other one, but it's got a lot of Firestar. And it's darker. It's a lot darker. So, more fiber in my house. I did also, I should have it next time because I should have it in a couple days. I ordered another Turkish spindle. Threads Through Time had an update recently, but they were all the same size as mine. What I want is a good plying spindle, because those 2 spindles that I have are very similar in weight. So I found an Etsy shop online that had, it was only $15 I think, and it was like 1 point something ounces. I don't remember if it was 1.4 or 1.6 or 1.8, I don't even remember. But that will be a good plying spindle against my smaller spindles that I'm spinning the singles on. And Tour de Fleece. So Tour de Fleece starts July 5th. I've joined a couple of teams, and one in particular I joined was Loop. So I hope to spin up a whole loop bump for Tour de Fleece. I have one on the wheel now that I sincerely doubt I will finish by the 5th, but it's only taking up 1 bobbin right now. So I will probably have to pull that off for July and spin up a new bump, because that's one of the qualifications. You have to start it and finish it within the time frame of Tour de Fleece. And I'm not sure which one I will do yet, but I have 6 or 7 to choose from. So that will be happening in July. And I'd really like to be successful at it, because I've tried Tour de Fleece in the past and just flopped hard. Like, didn't even barely spun anything. So this time I'd really like to spin up a whole loop bump in a month. That would be awesome. And I think I'm going to Navajo ply it. That's one of the categories for loop. Scrolls, I have nothing. I have no book reviews for this episode. Heresy, new shawl design is out! Yay! If you're a member of the group, you might have seen already, I put a post up there that I didn't even put an end date on, because I wasn't sure when I was going to record or whatever. I'm going to still leave it open, because I think I just opened it at the beginning of this week. Probably I'll leave it open until the next time I record. And it's for 1 free copy of the pattern. It's called Ainsley, and it's a sideways shawl that starts with 3 stitches, and it's in garter stitch. There's lace, but the lace is also garter stitch based, and it ends with 3 stitches. So you don't have to cast on a lot, you don't have to cast off a lot, and it's pretty pretty. So this is Socks That Rock lightweight. It also works very well in a variegated yarn. And looks like this. I'd put it on right now, but I can't see what I'm doing, and I'm sure it would look horrible. So that's Ainsley, and what I did was I also slipped the stitches on either side all the way. So the top edge has a nice edge to it, and the bottom edge has a nice edge to it. And it's quite heavy, because Socks That Rock is a pretty heavy yarn. but it only took 340 yards to do this one, and it blocks out a lot because I think knit, I was anticipating it would be 4 feet long, and it ended up being 60 inches, which I think is like 5 feet long. So it blocked out a ton, which was good though, because I was worried it was going to be too short, but I wanted to keep the yardage down. And also, I'm really glad I stopped when I did, because if it blocked out another foot and I did make it longer while I was knitting it, it would have been ridiculously long. So that's good. I just based it on an even number because there's 10 points for the increase, 10 points for the center, and 10 points for the decrease. That's how it ended up that size. Sweater design. Now that the shawl is done, I want to work on my sweater. Although now it's summer, I don't know. It would be a good fall sweater though, so I probably should do it, and then I can have it for fall. Beading tutorial, I still have to do. Now that I've cleaned up some things in this room, because I wanted room, I'll have to bring a little table in here, I think, to record it and stuff like that. I also have to do some swatches and stuff, so I actually have something to bead. So it's coming, but it might be a little bit. Seasonal Sock Syndrome knit along. So the spring session ends June 20th, so make sure you get your entries in before the 20th. And right now we're up to 101 entries. Amazing. We have another prize coming, so when I get that, I will show it to you. Someone I had contacted previously was very busy with festivals and just got back to me, which is fine because the knit along is all year, so I will show that one. Also, go on the board because for the summer session, I wanted more of a theme, so there's going to be some patterns you can choose from. Or you can do plain vanilla socks as long as they somehow relate to summer, and that's pretty wide open. It's like the colorway or the yarn base or, you know, whatever. So it's pretty wide open for you. Ravelry patterns. I have some Ravelry patterns for you. Oh, the mailman's here. I don't think I ordered anything. Alright, so the first one we have is Flower of Cebu by Christine Burkhart, and that one is really cool. It uses different colors. I'm not sure if you could do it with a gradient. I also really like the photography because they made the background black and white, so the shawl really sticks out. Let's do full screen here. So this is Flower of Cebu, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. As you can see, it's really cool. I'm not sure if it's mitered squares or exactly what the construction is, but that's that, and it's $6. There is 20% off for a knit along right now, so if you want the pattern, you can get it discounted. I'm sorry, I just like clicked a whole bunch of buttons. The mailman kind of freaked me out, so having some issues right now. Here's another one in a different color. And that one's pretty cool. And yeah, right now you can, I'm not sure how long that's going on for, but right now you can get it for 20% off. Uses fingering weight yarn. They used Rama Finnel Garn. I have no idea what that is. And 640 to 650 yards. So yeah, I'm assuming those look like completely different colors. It doesn't look like a gradient because each triangle is a completely different color. I'm not sure how that would work out perfectly with a gradient yarn. The next one is Centurion by Asa Argus. I'm sure I'm killing that name. And that one was another cool shawl. The theme today is shawls. And it also is like a multicolored one. And again, I'm not sure if this is a gradient because the transitions look a little too perfect. So that's that one. And this one is in some denomination, I don't even know what it is, like Dutch or something. And it comes out to $4.63 US. So Here's another picture of that one. So you can really see it here when it's not on the mannequin. That one's really cool. And then there's Boomerang by Mario M, who apparently like almost all of his patterns are free. I found one before called Queen Anne's Lace by this person, and it was also free, and it was like a heavy-duty circular lace shawl that really you could charge $6, $7 for, but I don't know if he just likes doing patterns and giving them away. And this one, it actually looks like a boomerang, the construction, so I'll show you it flat after this, but this one looked really cool in these colors. And I'll show you the flat version so you can see where the name comes from. Here we go. So that's where Boomerang comes from. And again, that one's free. So, those are your Ravelry patterns for today. And I think I'm running out of time. My camera only allows me to do like 29 minutes per video. So I'm going to have to pause here and come back for Delusional Jabber, because I'm sure I can't get through it in 2.5 minutes. Alright, now we're on to Delusional Jabber. None of those packages were for me, by the way. My husband must have ordered some stuff. We often think, like, the mailman must hate us, but then on the flip side, it's like, but we're keeping you in your job, because we order a lot of packages. He orders his thing, so mine obviously is fiber, yarn, whatever, right? His thing is, he's gotten into vintage video games, so he has gotten like a Sega Genesis, and a Nintendo, and a ColecoVision, and an Atari. He orders a lot of stuff on eBay. It's not a huge deal, because a lot of the games are like $2 and things like that, but it's just funny. It's just funny. Let's see. Work. I've come to the conclusion that this happens a lot. It's not a huge deal, as you'll find out as I tell you the story, but it's annoying. So what often occurs is that two things happen. One is that people often think that just by calling the police station they have reported an incident, and that is not how it works at all. For example, your car got broken into last night. A lot of people think that if they just call and talk to somebody on the phone, it's reported. And we specifically tell them, no, you need to speak to an officer and they will write a report. That's reported. Just telling us on the phone is not reporting it. In combination with this is that some people, I'm just going to use car break as the whole situation, will call up and say that, and you're like, okay, well, no, what I just said, you need to speak to an officer, would you like me to send one out? Oh, no, I gotta go to work, or I gotta go here, or I gotta do this. So we say, okay, well, you can come down here after, when you have time, or we will send an officer when you will be there for a little while. And that somehow gets twisted into this person then calling and complaining that we told them that we weren't going to help them at all. That is so not what just happened, right? So, the only good thing is, all of the telephone conversations are recorded. So, if they say that we told them that we weren't going to do anything, or we weren't going to send anybody, if you go back and listen to the tape, that is clearly not at all what we said. So, it's only slightly aggravating because initially it's like, did you tell somebody that we wouldn't do it? No, that's not what I said. And then, they can go back and listen and clearly find out that that person just said that they weren't going to be there. And we explicitly told them, you can come down here or you can call back when you are home from wherever you're going, and then we'll send out an officer. But that often translates to people, I don't know if they're not listening, I don't know what their deal is, I don't know what they think is going to happen. If they make a phone call, I don't know. But it happens a lot, apparently. So, yeah. That's the only good thing, though. Everything's recorded, so nobody can ever finally say we said or didn't say something, because the whole thing is on tape. So if they make a complaint, it'll go get listened to, and clearly that's not what we said. Oh well. It's gonna happen. These people are calling already because they're not happy, so... Alright, on to the rest of my stuff. So novel writing, nothing. But they're doing another camp, oh god. National Novel Writing Month. NaNoWriMo. in July, although that's also Tour de Fleece, so I don't know. 365 project, I've been doing really poorly again with photographs. I haven't gotten any, although again it's been raining for like the whole month, so lighting is really bad. Other crafts, I have not Zentangled, I have not tatted, and I haven't done any cross stitching. I did find that there are some, I have a Craftsy class on tatting, which I have to go back and watch again. I also found out that Knitpicks did a bunch of tatting videos a couple of years ago, so those are on YouTube, so I'm going to check those out as well. Games, I have nothing, haven't been playing any games either. Reading, I finished Divergent by Veronica Roth, and that was really good, and I will continue on with the series, but for right now, Tina over at Knitting Blooms is doing read-alongs on her podcast, and there was one that is it's knitting and spinning related, and it's a cozy mystery. So the first book is called Last Will and Testament, and the author is Molly McRae. And I did start that one after I finished Divergent. I only read the first chapter, so I have no idea about it. But I do know that the writing is very good. It's very smooth. It's very flowing. Very easy to read and get into the story, so I do like that. And yeah, I'm anticipating that one should be done shortly because I'm assuming it's short. It's just a cozy mystery. I honestly don't even know how many pages it is. Also with reading, I hope, during Tour de Fleece or this month while I'm spinning to get some audiobooks done. I have my husband right now into Game of Thrones, and I never finished the series, so I'm hoping to finish up that series in here while spinning and knitting and stuff. TV. I watched the Grimm finale, which was very good. I'm sensing a theme here, though. If you're not familiar with Grimm, this is going to make absolutely no sense to you whatsoever. But it almost appears that every finale, I don't even know how many seasons it's been on for, 2 or 3. Every finale ends with the main character losing his powers. That appears to be the theme. Because that's what happened. I'm pretty sure that's what's happened like every season so far. Or something happens where he's not himself anymore with those powers or whatever. So I also watched the Castle finale, which had a huge cliffhanger. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it was quite a cliffhanger. While I was knitting on my socks and unknitting and knitting and unknitting and knitting, I watched The Guild. And that was a web-based series, so the episodes are very short, like 10 minutes or so. So I watched the whole series already, because it was only a couple hours. And it was really funny. I'd never heard of it before. I'm surprised, too, because I asked my friend Brian, assuming he would have heard about it before, and he did. Because it's got to do with video games. So it's called The Guild, because often if you play games with other people, it's a guild, is your group. That's what they're called. Not a knitting guild or a spinning guild. Similar, though. And it was really funny. And there were some cameo appearances. That's not even a word. Appearances by, like, Nathan Fillion, because of Firefly and, you know, the things he's done. And Kevin Sorbo, which just cracked me up. Stan Lee, of course. I think they had one season was at like a Comic-Con kind of a thing, so that's where all these people showed up, and lots of people from sci-fi like Dollhouse and Firefly and things like that were on it as well, and it was really good. I'm actually think I'm going to go back and rewatch it again, because when I watched it the first time I was very intently knitting on these socks, and it wasn't really, I was listening more than I was watching it. So the other new show that I really like is the Will Wheaton Project. And it's, I don't even know how I want to describe it, because it's not a talk show. It's more like a short news show for geeks and nerds like me. It's all about sci-fi and horror and that kind of TV and things that are going on. And it's very funny. There's been 2 episodes so far. I watch it on demand. I watched the second episode yesterday. My husband was in the shower after work, and he actually heard me laughing over the shower. That's how funny it is sometimes. Both episodes so far have cracked up like that, so that's really enjoyable. I hope it stays on. Speaking of that, I found out on that show that they canceled Almost Human. not very happy about that, because I really like that, and I really like Carl Urban, but apparently that's done. Got my kiss of death, like Firefly, one of my favorite shows ever. Cosmos with Neil deGrasse is awesome. And if you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of his. Seth MacFarlane does Family Guy, American Dad, and stuff like that, and I think a lot of people have a really poor view of him because of his sense of humor. It's very crude and, you know, whatever, but he's actually an executive producer for Cosmos. He's very smart. If you follow his, like, Twitter or, you know, social media stuff, he's really intelligent and is really interested in a lot of intelligent things. And I'm not surprised because, like, my husband and I are smarter people, but we find his stuff very amusing, so, you know, just goes to show you. We also watched the first episode of Crossbones with John Malkovich, and that's pretty good. It's a little gory, actually, but they are pirates, right? It's Blackbeard. That one's good. The other thing I've been watching on Netflix is My Name is Earl. I never watched that when it was on. I like Jason Lee, and my husband's friend, who likes a lot of the stuff we like for TV and stuff, I had asked him, you know, what should I watch next, because I was kind of out of things, and he had mentioned My Name is Earl. Well, I think they have Netflix, too. Because they don't have cable. They only watch, like, older stuff or, you know, whatever channels. Or they just have, like, the basic channels. But he mentioned My Name is Earl. We have a similar sense of humor and stuff with stuff like that. And it's really good. I like it a lot, actually. I watched the whole season already in the last couple of days. And I'm excited, in June, Orange is the New Black. That's a Netflix original series. It's starting up again for season 2. Under the Dome is coming in June, and Defiance is starting back up again in June. And I think that's all I've noticed recently. I'm sure there's more stuff that's starting up again, but I just have forgotten already. Warehouse 13. I'm also behind on. I'm catching up on that one on demand because that came back on. I think I skipped a bunch of episodes, though, the last season. It was like a conflicting time, and then I would forget that it's even on. On demand's such a pain. I wish they would let you organize, like, the channels you watch the most on your menu on your TV, because I often forget about sci-fi because it's all the way at the end. I have to flip through a couple of pages to get to sci-fi, and I just forget about it. Because as soon as I go on demand, I have, like, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox right there at the top. And that's not alphabetical order, so I don't understand how they put them in order, but because those ones are at the top, and then the other ones go in alphabetical order, but like Fox does not go next to C when there's some other F channels in there, you know? That was a total tandem. Tandem? I think I should stop recording now. Not tandem. Tandem is at the same time. That was a tirade? What's that thing when you go off on a tangent? My allergies are really bad today, too. My ear is actually, like, crackling while I'm talking. And if I go outside, it's a little breezy today and it's not raining. I can actually, like, see pollen floating around, and I think it's beginning to affect my brain. So, I think that's it for this episode. It's a little long, this one, but that's okay, too. Maybe if I do it every other week, then it'll just be 45 minutes instead of 30. I don't know. We'll see. I thank you for joining me. Please post on the board. When I post up this episode, I'm going to ask you about the scheduling and the format and stuff like that. So please comment if you have any ideas or suggestions or whatever. Or you can tell me I'm crazy and this was the loopiest episode you've ever seen. Whatever you'd like to say. Thanks again for joining me. Happy knitting and spinning.